Welcome to Talking IoT, a series featuring short, enlightening conversation on what's happening across the Internet of Things. I'm your host, Silicon Labs Chief Marketing Officer, Megan Lueders. Here with me today is Silicon Labs Chief Security Officer, Sharon Hagi. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you, Megan. I'm glad to join you for today's discussion.
Perfect. Well, let's get right into it. A question that is always on my mind, especially being embedded into IoT, is how secure is today's IoT? What are you going to surprise me with your answer?
I think most consumers would want to trust today that IoT device manufacturers are taking their safety and protection of privacy and security very seriously. But unfortunately, what we're seeing and hearing today in the news and online media is that there's a surge in cybersecurity incidents. I think most consumers are probably not going to be surprised that in IoT, everything is not as secure as it needs to be. And the truth is that we still have a long way ahead of us to make sure that IoT security is at the level of maturity that it needs to be in order to ensure consumers are protected from cyber threats to the same degree, for example, that they're protected today when they're using financial systems or mobile payments. Now, getting there is something that would take a concerted effort by the industry. And of course, there's room for also meaningful action by the government in terms of regulation and legislation around minimum standardization for security. We're already seeing the beginnings of this type of legislation and action by the current administration. I'm encouraged, to see some of these things already happening, but driving security will require the right focus and priority today from all vendors and stakeholders.
Yeah, and along those lines, right, all these IoT devices that we're familiar with, right, they all have secured embedded wireless devices within. How is that different than securing other devices that we've I'll call grown up with, like laptops and PCs and servers? What's the difference?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It goes back to the whole point of, what do you need in order to secure a system, right? Or like a computer system. So in order to do that, you need to be able to run complex and computationally heavy cryptographic algorithms. Those are the algorithms that encrypt data and keep it secure and also ensure that the device interfaces and embedded software is also protected and secure. Now, you can run these things without any significant issue on laptops and servers because these things are powerful enough to run these tasks without impacting performance or bandwidth or having any concerns about power usage. But that's not necessarily the case when you're talking about small embedded IoT devices. IoT devices are built on, tiny microcontrollers that are not at all the kind of super powerful computers that run in a data center. They're typically built on tiny, chips that are fairly limited processing capabilities, limited memory, and often they operate on, limited battery power. So, being able to execute all that powerful cryptography to implement advanced security without impacting performance or draining batteries too much is really challenging from an engineering perspective. But that's what actually makes what we do here at Silicon Labs unique. I mean, it really takes significant and specialized expertise, I'd say, in a different kind of engineering focus than large scale computing requires to solve these problems on devices that are, largely constrained, but also have to be very inexpensive so that manufacturers can scale and integrate them into, everyday things and appliances. So, we've been able to design dedicated security hardware, cryptographic acceleration that can solve many of these difficult performance and power efficiency concerns with small constrained devices and allow our customers to build the most advanced, secure, and fully integrated wireless solutions on the market. In fact, today, Secure Vault is actually the most proven and one of the most certified IoT security platforms that helps customers address security with high degrees of both efficiency and effectiveness from the SoC and silicon module level all the way to the cloud, basically.
Perfect. And I want to go back to something you said earlier, because again, Silicon Labs is making tremendous strides to ensure our chips are the most secure and really meet the needs of our customers. And other industries and as well as silicon providers have to figure this out as well. Are there industry-led efforts to secure the IoT? Like, are there governments that are going to have to lead the charge, as you said earlier, or are there industry standards that we should be aware of? And what do you think are really the ones that we should be watching?
Yeah, so today there are significant efforts led by several alliances and industry consortiums and standard organizations that are working on defining the right set of standards and also promote interoperability from a security perspective. For example, the IoT Alliance is a really important and broad effort cross-industry and very international, with many companies involved, and they're running a product certification program, which we think is very important and critical to helping consumers and companies understand the protection profiles that IoT devices and solutions need to comply with. Cyber Shield is a Senator Edward Markey and Congressman Ted Lieu bill that was introduced earlier this year, and is a legislation that will help or create rather a voluntary cybersecurity certification program for IoT devices. The intent here is actually to build around existing work that NIST is the National Institute of Standard, has been doing around something called NIST IR 8259. And that's really the foundational set of standards that is very useful for IoT device manufacturers when it comes to security. In Europe, for example, they're also working on similar set of standards through ITSI and NSA, leading similar efforts for a minimum security standardization vis-a-vis the European standard known as 303-645. There's also, a lot of sector-specific standardization, which is something that we're seeing in the electrical smart utility space with organizations like UL, and also in medical with standardization around security for things like insulin pumps and implantable cardiac medical devices that have wireless capabilities for data transfer over things like Bluetooth. There's certainly a lot happening, and that's all very important to track and understand. And that's something that we're also looking to be able to help and support our customers navigate in their design process.
It sounds like it's just an immense amount of groups, alliances, associations, and as well as government entities that really have to come together in time and partner to continue to advance everyone's efforts in security, and is not going to be overnight. Like I said earlier, it's just certainly a journey. And so when you look forward to what's yet to come, what do you think is the most exciting development that we should expect to see in IoT over the next couple of years?
Now, in the next era, which is kind of arguably already happening, we're going to probably see devices becoming really intelligent, on an autonomous level, as we add things like machine learning capabilities and push this type of intelligence to the edge of the network, so that these devices can recognize patterns like voice commands and biometric signatures, and learn to identify medical anomalies and biosensor data without having to send all that private information to the cloud, for example. So I think in the next few years, we certainly believe that we'll see smart, connected, much more secure, and incredibly intelligent IoT devices that are going to make our lives better and more exciting. And I'm really looking forward to that future.
Yeah, exciting. And I love that, compartmentalizing those four key characteristics, right? Smart, connected, secure, and intelligent. Love it. So we are going to jump into speed round. We have about 1 minute left. And these are just fun questions to help us to get the audience to get to know you a little bit better. So tell me, Sharon, very quickly, what was your first IoT device you ever purchased?
Oh, it was a first generation wireless connected video camera back in '97.
I do remember those. Yeah, the handheld's great. What is one smart device other than your phone that you cannot live without?
Oh, I can't live without my smart speaker home assistant. These things are like part of the family.
Got it. Great. What household item do you own that isn't smart, but you sure wish it was?
I think anything clothing related. I really think medical sensors, for example, are going to be the next thing when they're weaved into common clothing items for measuring and managing health in a better way. Things like heart sensing, heart rate sensing, blood pressure, etc. Like all those things become really interesting when you're wearing them.
When did you decide you wanted to devote your career to security?
So I've been in information security for well over 23 years, and I got into this field by chance when I worked in a company that was developing the very first mobile banking applications that ran on the first generation of wireless smart consumer mobile communication devices. Like, I don't know if you remember the Palm Pilot, Windows CE, the BlackBerry. So, the great-great-grandparents of what are today's incredible smartphones and tablets. So I had the job to try to figure out how to secure these banking applications. And that's when I got into security and cryptography as a career choice.
Excellent. What a great time to have gotten in. That is definitely a pivotal moment of our world of innovation that we have all come to know and appreciate today. Well, Sharon, thank you so much for joining with us today. Really appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
To see what's going on to make this world and all of our IoT devices a bit more secure. For more information on how Silicon Labs is helping IoT device makers secure their products, please visit our website at scilabs.com/security. Thanks so much.